Welcome into SportsZone All Access. We've got a busy show for you today, previewing a lot of college action that'll be going on, as well as some good stories that we've seen from the past week. Grant Sweeter, Ian Sachs, and Kelsey Dennehy here to talk about a lot of stuff. And when you have this much stuff to talk about, we better dive right into it. And it starts with college volleyball. And we haven't had a chance, Ian, to talk about college volleyball a ton this year. But SDSU and USD, really good. USD, I think, has one loss in conference play. SDSU unbeaten. These are two really good teams, and we knew they both brought back a ton of talent this year, and I think everybody circled the State-U matchup, and it's hard to believe it's already this Saturday when the two will cross paths in Vermillion.
And remember, both of these teams made the NCAA tournament last year, SDSU winning the Summit League regular season title, and USD taking the tournament championship, and both very well deserving of getting into the field. And I feel like it's almost the exact same story this year. Both of them right at the top of the Summit League, and it's just a high level of volleyball. Yeah,
it's very high level of volleyball. It's as good as mid-major volleyball probably comes. And again, you got two NCAA tournament teams from last year. That means you're going to have a good game and a lot of excitement around the game. It'll be Kelsey's first time to see State versus the U. And it'll be a good one, maybe as good of volleyball match as we've seen in regular season between these two teams. Should be fun for you, Kelsey.
I was going to say, I've gotten to watch both teams play quite a bit so far this season and have been super impressed with both teams and how they've shown up. So I'm looking forward to not only a great rivalry match, I love a good rivalry, but just some great volleyball in general.
Yeah, great combination. 6 p.m. Saturday. Down in Vermillion. Should be a fun one there. We talk about SDSU, and the Jackrabbits are going to hit the road. They're going to play at Murray State, and SDSU's undefeated. They're playing really good football this season. There's no question about that, obviously, when you're undefeated. And I still think they haven't played their best football yet, Kelsey. And now they're playing a struggling Murray State team who's winless. Maybe a chance to see the best that the SDSU's played. I still don't think they've fired on all cylinders yet, though.
I think it's a perfect opportunity for them to really hunker down and, like you said, fire on all cylinders. I think since we have seen them, it's been a couple weeks since their bye week, which they called improvement week, and they've continued to grow and get better and better in every week. Dan Jackson did say earlier this week that he thinks playing on the road for them is an advantage because they just love getting to spend time together and bond and play football without all of the extra noise that they appreciate in Dana J. Dykehouse Stadium. But it's a little bit different playing on the road. They just get to really enjoy each other's company. So he thinks it's going to be a good matchup for them.
Yeah, and they're looking for another road win. We talked with Dan Jackson earlier this week.
It needs to be about our execution and our play. And I think what will be important for us is it's really the perfect opportunity for us is to be player-led, have the connection on the sidelines, build energy through communication and looking at each other in the eye and getting problems fixed.
Yeah, looking to get problems fixed. And my biggest thing about SDSU that I've seen so far, they're undefeated. And like I said, I don't think they've played their best game yet, but they've controlled every game. The Drake game, we're all like, oh, that's what the final score was, but it was never in doubt. They had control. Same thing with the Northern Iowa game, 14-3 at halftime. Everyone's like, oh, that's not very good. And then they pulled away, and the game was never in doubt. They've controlled the game on both sides of the ball, and they're going to look to do that against Murray State. It's time changed up to 1 p.m. due to potential severe weather. So they've moved that up on Saturday. Talk about USD, Ian, and the Coyotes looking for back-to-back road wins. They got their first road win last week at Indiana State, and it was not pretty. But sometimes you have to win not pretty when you're on the road. Now they're looking to go to Northern Iowa, which is notoriously a tough place to play, and get their second road win in a row.
It's been tough for them all season long on the road, but now you see a different result. Finally get that win, maybe build some confidence from that. You go on the road once again this week, and you already have found the winning formula last week. Now you just have to replicate, rinse, and repeat.
Yeah, that'll be the key for them. And they're trying to find that consistency, and Coach Travis Johansson talked with us earlier in the week.
It's more so validation for our guys, right? Does our process lead to winning football? Does, what we do on the road and our travel, produce winning outcomes, and to see it come to fruition was good.
Yeah, and you want to do things that will lead to winning football games. And as you heard him say there, are those things that we're doing leading to winning outcomes? That's that consistency that they're talking about. Ian kind of alluded to it already. We know they have the ground as consistency. They're one of the best rushing offenses in the country. They got to find that balance. We've talked about that. You'd like to see Aiden Bauman take those steps forward, and I'm intrigued to see if he can. This is a team that I still think with their strength of schedule, if they only lose one or two the rest of the way, could still sneak into the playoffs. We'll have to see when the time comes around. Well, SDSU, we're talking all these fall sports. They hosted their winter and spring sports media day on Wednesday, and I had a chance to go up there, and it felt weird talking about baseball and softball. I'm not going to lie. It was kind of unique, but the winter sports are right around the corner, and there's a lot of excitement for the Jackrabbits. The SDSU women graduated some talent. Haley Timmer in the transfer portal, so they're going to have some new looks to them. But the men, they're going to look a little bit different too, obviously with the departure of Oscar Clough. And so I'm intrigued to see how this goes. We know Ian, huge basketball guy, is ready for basketball season. And both SDSU teams should be very competitive in the Summit League.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Women tabbed as the preseason favorites. The men is third in the preseason poll. So should be right in the mix for another conference championship for both programs.
And obviously with that, there are plenty of excitement in Brookings.
We're real excited to play someone else because I don't know about my other teammates, but I'm tired of practicing against each other because they we all know each other's moves and stuff, but it'd be exciting to play someone else.
Really tough non-conference, which is always fun, but it helps us get ready for those conference games when it matters, into the Summit League tournament, and then hopefully an NCAA double tournament.
Yeah, there's a lot of expectations in Brookings every year that they have a good season, and we'll see if those come to fruition. Obviously, basketball season right around the corner. Exhibitions being played over the next couple weeks, and then November 3rd is the big day. Well, we'll step aside for now, and we'll talk with head coach of the Northern State Wolves, Mike Schmidt, when we come back to SportsZone All Access.
Welcome back to SportsZone All Access. Well, Northern State football had a huge win over number 10 Minnesota Duluth at home over the past weekend. I had the chance to catch up with head coach Mike Schmidt on the win and what to look for the rest of the way. Talk about how you're feeling coming off such a big win this weekend.
Well, you're so trained to just jump right into the next game, right? Like you don't get a chance to really enjoy the wins as much as you want. And you kind of have to suffer through some of the losses a little bit longer than you want in this sport. That's kind of what makes it so great. But I just think, this is a big win. It's a signature win. For us though, that's a team that we beat a year ago and we had a great crowd, great atmosphere here, and had to bounce back and really needed that win for this team, not just as a program, but for this team. And so I think you're excited, but I'm just really proud of the way the guys responded, how much they believed in each other, how much they bought in. I'm proud of our community and happy that we could create that kind of moment for this town, this region. And we haven't won anything yet, so you're not always so thrilled, but no doubt that's a big win.
Still a big accomplishment. I read it's your first ranked win in your time at Northern and then the only ranked win in over 20 years. So what does that say about, you mentioned this group of guys. What does it say about this group of guys that you have here?
Yeah, I think we're a pretty good team. I think we have a good team. I think I wish we could have, won a couple of the two losses that we have. We'd be in a much better spot, but I think we got to fight till the end here now and see where we end up and try to win a bunch more. But I think we have a good team. I think we've been building a good program with a lot of really good players. And we feel like that's kind of the win and the team that we want to be kind of about. So, that's a big win and all of those things, but I think it's a good significant marker of where we're at. I think that when you're talking about the blue bloods of the NSIC, you're talking about Duluth and Mankato and Augie and USF and these guys that are kind of there. So, until you beat them, you haven't really arrived. Until you can beat them and go 5-5 or 6-4 over a 10-year span, you haven't really arrived as a program. So I just like where we're headed and how we're trending right now. And big picture, it's a very big win. think it says a lot about our team that not only are we tough and play really hard, but we have a good team too. And I think that shows in the fact that we only threw the ball 13 times and we're able to run the ball the way we were. So our guys showed up ready to play and never flinched the entire game.
I want to backtrack a little bit too, to you guys had the tough loss against Bemidji State. What did that week in between look like in terms of preparation and getting back on track? You talk about you guys had some big moments this week, but there was a lot of time in between there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a humiliating loss for us that we go up there and lose the game. And not that it's not a good team or good program, but it's a winless team and a game that we wanted to win. And it felt like we were prepared to win and prepared our butts off to win that thing and came up short. And we got beat. We just got beat in that game. And, it's like, how do you bounce back? Well, it takes a little while. It takes some time. You're pouting a little bit and your daubers are down and you got to find a way to get your guys back up and you got to find a rallying point for them. And I think that's just what's so critical as a coach or as a leader is you can't make it only about wins and losses. You can't make it only about results. It's about the fun and the joy of playing football. It's about, your community connection and how much you care about showing up for your fans. And so I think our guys really care about that. I think they really care about our community and showing up, have a lot of pride in that. So, there's some personal pride, there's program pride, but ultimately it's about fun. And I just kind of laugh and giggle when I see teams or football coaches that lose and they're like, we're going to be tougher. We're going to keep doing this. We're going to make it even more boring for our team. I mean, that's how I hear it. And I think that's how your team hears it is you got to make it fun. You got to go back to some basics. It's a kid's game. Go out and have a ton of fun for each other, show up and play for each other. And I think that was our message throughout the week was, they might be showing up to win a game. We're showing up to just play for each other. And so I think that's kind of what we want to be built on is that. And I think the more you can make it fun and joyful for the guys as the season goes on, the win or loss, I think that's the key is how do you bounce back each week is just making it fun. You
mentioned Wyatt and he has had such a successful season for you guys. How much does that help in moments at Bemidji where you're trying to get back on track and you're able to do so this past weekend?
Oh, we have two great backs, and one of them unfortunately is out for the season, and so we lose Hank early in the season against Mary, and now it's like, hey, we should have brought a saddle into team meetings for Wyatt because we're just going to ride him the rest of the way. I mean, that's just the way it's going to be. Is that's the kind of mentality we got to have with him? Is we got to give him the football. He's one of the best players in the conference. He's one of the best running backs in the conference. I think for us, he's the kind of guy that can do that. There's one guy I know that we can just straddle up and here we go. And it's Y block. And so I think that's why we want to be built around people like that. We want to be built on running the football, playing good defense, and being the most physical team in Division II football. And so those things, no matter what, will show up. And those, no matter who's playing for you or injuries that happen.
Well, you guys have another chance to do so at home this weekend against Southwest Minnesota State. How do you keep this momentum going from such a high to now being able to continue at home?
Yeah, momentum's just such a funny word and a funny thing. I generally am a believer it doesn't really translate week to week. I think throughout a game, certainly, but not week to week because you got to go back. It's so boring to say it, but you got to go back in the process. And what's really important is, Wednesday's practice or Thursday's special teams. It's the Saturday afternoon, it'll come when it comes.
Well, thanks so much to head coach Mike Schmidt for joining me. Northern State will play Southwest Minnesota State this Saturday. We'll be right back.
And welcome back to SportsZone All Access. And in football, there's so much fluidness that goes into it, right? You got to always be able to adapt. Well, that includes before the game. The Northwestern College football team had quite the pregame event happen when their bus had an accident before the game, altering plans. Jordan Schmidt has that story.
The lead-up to the game between Northwestern College and Briarcliff University on Saturday was anything but normal. One of Northwestern's team buses hit a pole on its way to the game.
Yeah, I thought we glanced and hit a pole or hit the side of the bus, but then quickly learned that it was a pretty good collision. And then when guys started getting off the bus, you could kind of see how bad the situation actually was.
Northwestern head football coach Matt McCarty says the crash left several players unable to play.
Once we figured out who wasn't going to be able to play, we were without 6 of the 10 offensive linemen that we had traveled, and then some other skill positions that were out. And so really it was just trying to piece together what's the most competitive group we can put together.
The game was moved from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and the Raiders were also forced to make some adjustments on the fly.
We moved our left guard to left tackle, moved our tight end to right tackle, had a defensive lineman play left guard, and we taught those guys really in the afternoon, a couple hours to walk through things and get those guys up to speed, and they did a phenomenal job.
As we were just waiting there at the stadium, just knowing we're still going to be playing a game here, so kind of just rally together, and we're not going to know what's going to be looking like up front. We're going to have to piece some things together, but just it's kind of fun in a way knowing that just a little uncertainty, but we're still going to play a game and we're going to make the most out of it.
And after all the adjustments Northwestern made, which also included entirely scrapping the offensive game plan, the Red Raiders still came out with a 28-0 win.
I thought we played outstanding. I think it was probably the best game that we played this year. And, one of those things, I was really proud of our guys and just the resiliency that they had.
Jordan DeSmit, KELOLAND News.
And a great story there. And Ian, talk about adversity right there.
Just amazing how you think it's not that far of a bus trip either, and yet you experience something like that. And just all the more credit to the team that you look at the final box score, you see 28-0. Okay, great. But all the backstory behind it, a really impressive day, feed, and everything around it for Northwestern.
Yeah, a lot of credit to the coaching staff there to figure that one out. Well, we'll be right back with more Sports Zone All Access. And welcome back to SportsZone All Access. Well, this weekend is a big one in South Dakota as pheasant season is underway. KELOLAND's Travis Fossing has more.
Hunters from near and far will make their way to South Dakota this weekend for the traditional pheasant opener. Game Fish and Parks Communications Manager Nick Harrington says this is their Super Bowl.
This is when we get to talk about pheasant hunting, to talk about the habitat conditions, to talk about just everything going on across the state.
That's not where Harrington's prep ends after the state sold more than 80,000 non-resident pheasant hunting licenses last season.
Making sure that all our resources are taken care of. Folks can purchase their license online. The sporting goods stores have what they need. Our website's ready to go. Our maps are ready for everyone to utilize them. So as exciting as this is one of those we want to make sure everything goes off perfectly.
And GF&P got a sneak peek of what's to come during last weekend's resident-only season opener.
We had 30, 40 mile-an-hour winds Saturday and Sunday, and there were still people getting out. What we want to see is folks out and enjoying our outdoor resources, our pheasant hunting in particular, and it is very obvious folks are excited to get out this year, and that's what we love to see.
We have every indication that it's going to be a really good year. We're coming off of a super mild winter, actually 2 mild winters, which really bodes well for overwinter pheasant survival for hens.
Alex Solom is a senior wildlife biologist and spends the weeks leading up to pheasant season chatting with hunters and other Game Fish and Parks officials.
Talking to game wardens and seeing what they're seeing for hunters and the checks and kind of seeing if we were correct on our predictions.
Which requires number crunching.
Harvest stats, land use stats, just kind of anything that we can relate back to better predict, how we think the pheasant season is going to be.
And this one is more than promising. In Sioux Falls, Travis Fossing, KELOLAND News.
And pheasant season opens up. It'll be a busy time for the hunters out there. And we'll have more from SportsZone All Access when we come back.
Welcome back in. Well, Dustin Gilbronson, a local driver here in South Dakota, just won his 9th national championship. Let's listen in to what he had to say about the accomplishment. Gilbronson competed in roughly 40 races this season, all around the Midwest, before heading to the USRA Nationals 8 hours away. With a second career win in that competition, he cemented himself as the best in the U.S.
To win a national championship, you got to race a lot. You got to be on your game every night, and keep the car maintained, keep everything up, so you don't have any DNFs. You got to finish every race and try to finish in the top 3 to realistically have a chance at winning the points.
His success on the track comes from the support of his loved ones. They called the trip to Wheatland their family vacation.
Give a hand for number 6, Dustin Bronson.
We like our racing. It's been in my blood since I was a kid, and the girlfriend comes from the fiance comes from a racing family, so she likes it. We all enjoy it.
Next season will look different for the Hartford native, as he intends to move up a division and shift his focus from racing hobby stocks to racing street stocks.
I've kind of accomplished everything I can probably accomplish in a hobby stock, so I feel like it's time to step up a class and help out some other guys that have gotten into racing and hopefully better them in the hobby stocks and just support.
Well, Go Bronson said he's planning on racing at both Huset's and I-90 Speedway next racing season. We'll be right back.
And welcome back to SportsZone All Access. We're going to wrap up today's show by talking about what we got going on with a busy weekend sports calendar. And it's not all college football, as it typically is this time of year. There's a lot of diversity in this, but Kelsey, there's also a couple of really good college football games. SDSU and USD both on the road this week. USF Augustana off. So really, there's not much for local football here in the Sioux Falls area, but still a couple big games for the Jackrabbits and Coyotes.
Certainly. I'm looking forward to really a great slate of matchups this weekend. My eye is on USD to see if they can pick up a second road win. It's really what they need right now to keep things moving. So I'm interested to see how they fare at Northern Iowa.
Well, and Ian, there's some big college volleyball going on too. Augustana hosting USF, the rivalry there. Then you have the I-29 rivalry, the State U matchup, USD and SDSU. It's always great to see the fall sports get into business, especially with these rivalry matchups.
Well, you know that they're always tightly contested, whether the two teams are pretty similar in the standings or pretty far apart. For USD, SDSU, both of them right at the top of the Summit League for volleyball, so that's a lot of fun. It's also a USD, SDSU doubleheader soccer playing on Saturday as well, so it's just a lot of fun down there in Vermilion. And then you have the backyard brawl in Sioux Falls.
Yeah, a lot of excitement going on, and we'll have all that coming up. Well, thanks for watching SportsZone All Access, and have a good day.